everyone, and thanks for joining us on this other edition of The Book with me, Susan Bell. The death of storytellers and griots that were admired for their talents and skills in narrating folk tales and other aspects of African culture has left a void in the process of production and transmission. It is for this reason that Professor TAKU Victor JONG is suggesting a concept that can revive folk tales, which in those days played a great role in the moral, social, and academic upbringing of children and youth in many African communities. Drama in the classroom, adapting and preserving African folk tales into plays by teachers and learners. It is the book, and he's right here in the studio. Yes, the countless guests we have had in this studio, you know, have told us amazing stories on how they came up with the books that they present here each time. Now, I want to find out from you what actually triggered you to write drama in the classroom, adapting and preserving African folk tales into plays by teachers and learners. What's your own story behind this book?
Yeah, my story dates back to the year 2000 when I was a teacher trainer. And when I went to class to teach stories or to teach English language and literature, when I gave the students the tales, the stories in the textbook, I discovered that they were sleeping. Some of them were not concentrating on the tasks. So I looked at it and discovered that some of the tales were long enough for them. They were not interested in reading. So I decided to ask a few of the students to dramatize. And I sent them from the classroom. You play the role of the lion, you the tiger, you the tortoise. And the class became lively. And I said, wow, so if the class can be lively thanks to dramatization, why not carry out research on this topic?
Okay, and now the other question I want to ask you, it is time for you to tell us what this book is all about. It's important for our viewers out there.
Yeah, this book employs a unique pedagogical approach, process drama, which permits teachers of English language, literature, and other subjects to render their lessons more interesting, engaging, and interactive. Process drama allows the teacher to elicit information from the students based on their local and cultural realities. This brings us to the notion of the folktale, which is dying out and which carried or which possess some of our values, some of our cultural values and norms, which we are missing today. So I think that if we can use process drama to go back memory lane and get back some of those tales, I think we're not only going to help the students morally, but we're going to help in transforming a curriculum that addresses their needs and aspirations.
That's an interesting story. Now we're going to take the forward, so we'll be right back.
I've not only had the privilege of reading drama in the classroom, but also had the opportunity to put its insightful techniques into practice. You see, the author's innovative approach has significantly shaped my work, particularly in guiding students and young learners like myself through the art of docudrama. One notable example is our successful transformation of traditional folk tales into thought-provoking documentaries that address pressing societal issues like drug abuse and violence within the school environment. Additionally, I've had the rewarding experience of teaching young people how to creatively use their smartphones to adapt folk tales into compelling short films. This book, trust me, is more than just a guide. It is a call to action for educators at all levels, from primary and secondary schools to universities. By integrating its methods, we can breathe new life into the storytelling tradition and ensure our rich folklore heritage is preserved for generations to come. I firmly believe this book should be a staple in every teacher's toolkit as we strive to inspire and educate through drama.
You're welcome back. Professor TAKU, I just want to find out from you, when you say teachers and learners should adapt and preserve the African folktales into plays, what does this concept entail?
The adaptation process is one of those interesting aspects of script writing in drama. And most of what we have today in terms of movie, documentary, they are based on adaptations of stories. So we are in a fast-growing world where things are changing. And most of those tales address issues which are not very common today. You know, new issues have come up: homosexualism, lesbianism, conservation, forest conservation, climate change. Those are issues which have come up which were not addressed in some of those tales in the past. So we want a situation where those tales that we had in the past can now be adapted to fit present-day context and address some of the issues that are currently plaguing communist society.
You are a lecturer and the head of Performing and Visual Arts Department in the Faculty of Arts at the University of Buea. Have you had the opportunity to experiment some of the concepts in a formal learning environment? Yeah,
I've had an opportunity to work with my students. I've had an opportunity to share with other students, for example, students from Bloomsburg University in the United States. So what happened was I brought these two groups of students together and brought some of the concepts. And I always use this example of this tale, The Death of Mr. Leopard. So when I brought this tale to this group of students, some of them were very worried with the fact that a leopard should be killed because of a red feather. Now, the issue of titles, recognition, pride, because we see in this tale a leopard being killed and the hunter awarded the red feather. And when I asked the students, are you comfortable with this tale? Because the lesson was poaching, you know, fight against the killing of endangered wildlife species. Okay. And one of them said, no, sir, we can't kill a leopard just to earn a red feather. So I now asked them, what do you think should be done? So one of them said, no, instead of killing the leopard, we should preserve the leopard. So at the end of the day, we all agreed to bring in a new character, the game guard. And this game guard was influential in stopping the hunter from killing. So instead of killing, the leopard is instead sedated and taken to the palace and preserved. And so instead of a red feather, the village grew richer because we had, you know, tourists coming to visit the game guard where the leopard is preserved. We had also biologists, you know, coming to visit to carry out experiments. And so the village grew richer by preserving this particular leopard. And at the end of the day, the leopard, the hunter, and the game guard were all awarded red feathers.
It's time for the Vox Pop. This is the question that we are asking this day. Is storytelling a useful methodology in the modern language classroom?
It is one of the methods that actually arouses the learner's interest in following a particular lesson. Introducing a story into it. Even the lazy ones, or the ones who are not interested in the lesson, get interested in the story that is told, and at some point they follow the lesson. In those days, in every primary school class, there was a period devoted only for storytellings, and it was certainly one of the most interesting periods of a classroom. And through it, the stories actually carried a particular lesson that a learner would take home.
It is useful. It's very important. It's very useful in the sense that it is the easiest way to pass on a message, especially if you have to do with kids and beginners. The easiest way to make them learn and understand. If you look at most of the teachings Jesus did in the Bible, he used stories so that he could convey a message to the people in the language they best understand, using common things around them, which they can see, they can perceive, and easily grasp.
I think today the storytelling method is vital in a classroom situation because it is one of the means through which the learner actually follows a lesson to its end.
You're welcome back, and of course you're watching the book with me, Susan Bell, and my guest is TAKU Victor Njong, Professor TAKU Victor Njong. Please tell me, you heard the reaction of some people out there. What is your own take as far as this is concerned?
Modern day classroom is dynamic. It is what we call student-centered, and I think it's an opportunity for teachers to give students a voice and guide them. Gone are those days when the teacher was all-knowing. The learners know so much that all we need to do as teachers today is to harness. So this book gives them an opportunity to tell their experiences, to share their stories in class, and when we go to storytelling, what they must have been told at home, they bring it to class, okay, and the teacher, gets out the important salient aspects from what they say and integrate in the lesson.
A concept like this one is, I must say, is fantastic, But the $1 million question is, can storytelling find its place back to our homes with the gripping impact of the internet and social media?
Yes, this is where the issue lies. Many people have said it's impossible to take us back to those days. But I always say there's nothing impossible. That is why I've brought in teachers. I've brought it in the classroom. And all what the teacher needs to do is to come to class at the end of the lesson, tell the students at every level, go home and ask your parents to narrate any tale.
Are you very sure that the parents today know some of those tales that you're talking about?
Yes. When my daughter comes home and poses a question asked by the teacher, I always, in this situation, I find it difficult to tell her, my daughter, I don't know. It will be so depressing on the child to tell that child that you don't know. So what I advise teachers to do is to get back to someone in the village, maybe in the village community. We all have village communities in towns and cities. You meet one or two persons there who will be educated enough to tell you some of those stories. So it's now left on us. You're forced to go and search. Even if you don't know, you have to get someone from that community or from another community who can tell you, and then you narrate it to the student. So I think I'm using this approach because I know, as I said, you can't tell your daughter or your son, I can't narrate a story. You look for it.
Okay.
And this is an assignment, you must give that child to take it back to class.
We also know that the youth today are what the Frenchman terms it, génération tête baissée. They are always on their phones. And do you think that they will willfully want to, sit down and listen to the stories that you're talking about.
Yeah, that is why I brought in a fourth aspect of our training as teachers or as lecturers and professors, this issue of entrepreneurship. So what I did was I made the students to understand what they'll benefit from these stories.
Yes, we are going to, there's a question geared towards that aspect that we're going to talk later on. Moral decadence, drug abuse, and the use of weapons, hate speech have plagued the school milieu today. With all these vices, is there still a possibility to reverse this situation of indiscipline just by implementing the concept or let's say the concepts that are written in this book?
Yeah, actually, I told you that the day we stopped telling stories to our children was the day, we invited violence and crime into our community. During the days of storytelling, I could move from Moliko to Mutengen in the night without any fear. When TV came, and today the internet, I can no longer move in the night freely. So what I'm trying to say in this book is that if teachers bring back some of those moral tales, those oral tales, which used to have, which were educational, which had these moral messages behind them, I think we can eradicate these crimes. Let me give you an example. A student in class, as you said, they have these tales. And we can adapt the tales into documentaries, into movies. In the process of adapting this tale into a play, in the process of taking part in that play, they learn what we call the role models. They come what we call, they imbibe those role models in the tales.
Okay.
And when you take part in this play and you come out as successful, most of them end. When I taught them in class, most of them left with names. Some end the names of tortoise, chameleon, leopard, and your friends call them those names today. Okay. And they're happy. Now, if they can't dramatize it, they can adapt it into movies. The fact that those movies, they are sure that movie, at the end of the movie process, they'll have some money. At the end of the day, if they're doing a documentary on violence using some of the tales, adapting some of the tales to address issues about violence, they are going to be happy that, they've produced a documentary thanks to the stories collected. And even comics, if they can do a comic train them how to do comics, drawings, and if they know that their comics can earn them some money, I think they will be excited to get into this process.
Okay, it's time for us to have On the Shelf. We shall be right back.
Is social media a threat to publishing?
I must say that the advent of social media, when it says online publishing, okay, because when it says social media, is very much restricted. For those who have been involved in traditional publishing, it is somehow a threat, in the sense that the books that used to be sold, the quantity was significantly reduced. And sometimes it comes to e-publishing, sometimes the sales, especially the sales, in some cases are not very much, they are not very much accounted for. Because when it is out there, you don't know who uses it, and you don't know who is even selling it at some point. Even though in some cases wherein you work with very serious ebook companies, there may be some regulations. But when it is haphazard or in developed settings like ours, sometimes it is almost, there is little or no control as far as the distribution is concerned. But I must say that, going back to your question, is it a threat or not? To an extent, it is enhancing publishing, because the most important reason for publishing is to make book or the content of a work available to as many people as possible. And so we have the opportunity to have our books available on many platforms to many people as much as possible. It's good. all right? But if you talk about issues of finances, I must say that traditional publishers must strive as much as possible to see to it that they move in line with current trends. Otherwise, they'll be left behind. For instance, we're even being told that very soon paper books will go out of fashion because everything is going to be electronic, which means that you have to do everything to see to it that we adapt to changing times in order to see that our content, our publications are available in hard copy and also also available online, so as to face the competition and also to see to it that our works are available to people across the globe.
You're welcome back, and we continue talking about Drama in the Classroom, written by TAKU Victor. The state has authorized universities to create enterprises to facilitate the professional insertion of graduates in the job market. How does your book fit within the context of the new notions of entrepreneurial university and the student entrepreneur?
In this book, we're going to teach teachers how to be creative, how to help the students to be creative. Now, when they get an oral, maybe a myth or a legend, okay, they can be able to transform this myth into something profitable. And I've been able to dramatize some of these tales, and you have an oral tale that has been adapted into a play. And we can do, why not take it out and invite, people to come and watch. They earn some money. They become actors thanks to this process. They can also do a movie, out of a tale. They can adapt it into a movie. They can adapt it into a comic, as I said, and they can adapt it into a documentary. Why not radio plays?
Okay.
Most of these stories can be adapted to radio plays. And while they earn some money, they are also educating the wider community.
Well, it's really, really interesting, and I'm so sure that those who are watching this edition of the program will want to have a copy. Where is this book made available?
Yeah, this book is online. If you go to Google, it's in Amazon, okay, Amazon India, Amazon America. If you go to Google and just click, type, drama in the classroom, you're going to see how to obtain a copy. For now, I'm struggling to negotiate with some local publishers and bookshops how to get the books available, and I'll get that soon.
It surely has a price. How much?
Want it to be accessible to everybody, I will get it the price at 5,000 francs.
Okay, it's really affordable. So, well, thank you very much for answering present today. We are so glad to have learned a lot from this, and I'm very sure that it's going to go a long way to impact life. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you very much for watching this edition of the program. We hope that you will be there during the next edition of the program. Thank you and bye-bye.